There's so much to be gained out of gaming, jobs, community, like friendships. It is a beautiful thing, and NASEF is just trying to bring light to that.
Looking for the DBS, looking for low cell, Ace, Troy High School.
Where it's the internet age. In a certain sense, you kind of have to make your own career, and esports is one of the best places to do that. And NASEF is one of the best organizations out there for bringing that to young people in a meaningful way.
Pick up, and now you're kind of a little bit of trouble, and
There's an esports club. It's good to take the opportunity, just have a lot of fun and see what you can do and reach your limits.
Let's go ahead and jump right in. So I really wanted to share Scholastic Esports specifically. So before I jump in, I just want to define what NASEF is. We are a nonprofit organization that's ultimately on a mission to help support young people grow their 21st century learning skills through the lens of esports. And what I like to say is that we're not just helping grow gamers, we're helping grow game changers. And we are a global nonprofit. You can see here, this is our small but mighty team. As you can see, not many of us, but we do some really cool, exciting things all around the world. And then my name is Jarrell Batak, the Chief Operating Officer. And I've spent the last 16 plus years in nonprofits and education, also a CTE credentialed educator. And I'm really just excited to be here. I also spent a lot of time at the Orange County Department of Education. I'm Cali bred and born. I know many of you from California, and that's where a lot of us have started. We accomplish our mission and goals really through the communities that we interact with. So you can see all of our wonderful sponsors and partners that help support and grow our program. Just to give a little back history, we actually started initially as a pilot program in Orange County with 25 high schools and 38 teams. And it was known as the Orange County High School Esports League. But since then, from 2018 to now, I'm definitely excited to say, and I'm a little overwhelmed when I look at this graphic, thinking about the work that we're doing. We have over 3,000 members, probably impacting close to 25,000 students. We don't collect student data, so that's a little bit of an estimate. But really excited the fact that a lot of the work that we've done has grown over 70 plus countries. And this continues to grow mainly through all of our affiliates. So we have 25 US-based affiliates and 23 global affiliates. And essentially these are, independent nonprofits or government entities that are helping support kind of the NASEF mission and vision. And so you can see we're all around the globe. And one of the exciting things as well that's been developed in the last couple of years is we are also the official education partner for IESF, or the International Esports Federation. And this is one of the largest international esports federations. They have over, I think, 130 different member federations that participate. We actually were really excited. We got to run a bunch of workshops at their last World Esports Championships back in December in Bali, which was really exciting. And we had probably 60 different countries in our workshops. So it was always great to see the global interactions, especially around the idea of integrating esports into education. And so that's our main partner, and we're continuing to grow our work internationally as we continue to play with them. So we serve multiple communities. We've started with high school, increasingly into middle school, and now what we like to say is that we're really helping support developing the pathway and pipeline. Because as we start to engage with all of these different schools and community-based organizations, there's really an opportunity to create these unique intersections and connections from elementary to middle to high, also into collegiate university, especially through CTE specifically. And ultimately, all of this work is really helping to develop the next workforce, right? So workforce development is a huge initiative of ours. And when we talk about gaming and esports, it's not just about gaming. It's not just about, video games and playing games or designing games. When we talk about this, it's ultimately about meeting kids where they are, because we know that kids are playing games or talking about games. I'm sure many of you either grew up playing games or have seen your kids watch streamers play games. I mean, it's a huge phenomenon, and I'm excited that it's gotten to this point. But in particular, the way that we frame Scholastic Esports is really looking at all of the college and career opportunities that exist within the space now. I believe last year there were about 20 million in scholarships for competitive players, as well as esports broadcast and production, and across about 120 different colleges and universities in the US. And we're starting to gather more data around what's happening around the globe. And I will say that there's more and more degrees and scholarships that are happening, but the US has definitely been on the forefront of creating these unique opportunities. One of our main partners when we first started was UCI Esports, and they actually offer a full ride scholarship for their Overwatch players, for their League of Legends players, partial scholarships for their Super Smash players, and I think they're also opening up this year to also include Valorant players as well. So who would have thought? It's really exciting. And what's interesting about a lot of those programs is it's not just, oh, we get together and we play. They also have an entire health and wellness routine. They have exercise physiologists, sports psychologists, counselors that are helping support these competitive teams, just like you would any other sport. So the space is growing, but again, our emphasis is that we are really helping develop Scholastic Esports. And we really say this because we like to say that we're not an esports organization. We're ultimately an education organization that's utilizing esports as a vehicle for learning. And so when we consider this, there's a lot of considerations as to how you could really leverage gaming and esports. And we really set out a huge hypothesis around the types of social impact that we could create within schools and educational institutions. I think most importantly, the big opportunity here is really to create a sense of engagement, because we know that there's a lot of kids that don't feel connected to their school or community. And so by really celebrating the gaming culture and esports culture and welcoming it into our educational environments, this really gives the opportunity to engage students at a high level. And like I said, many of the teams and clubs, they'll rep their club logo or their team logo that's representative of their school. So a lot of opportunities to really, deepen that affiliation with their school community. A lot of opportunities around curriculum integration, and I'll dive deeper into this around our curricula. Language and literacy opportunities for sure. I think most importantly, what we've seen is that there's tons and tons of social emotional learning and health and well-being aspects to what we're doing when we talk about Scholastic Esports. And again, I'll dive deeper into that. And then ultimately, it's really a place to create relevance for the work and opportunities that young people are really interested in. In some cases, what I've seen is a lot of these kids will utilize the esports club to create some unique portfolios of their work, whether it's designing a logo, creating a jersey, creating a video, etc. And again, all of these things are really the opportunity to develop workforce pathway skill development. And so I'll sit here for a second because this is really the centerpiece for everything that NASEF does. This was created in partnership with the Orange County Department of Ed and UCI, our research team, to really consider what are all of the opportunities in esports and gaming that go beyond the players in the games. And you can see that we've subdivided our ecosystem into 4 main domains. There's content creation, which I know many of you, being CTE educators, are advocates for and also teach. Strategy for sure around coaching analysts around the games. Organizational management, there's opportunities through events, right? IT, and then ultimately business and entrepreneurship, because again, esports is a growing space and there's a lot of opportunities to grow your leadership within that. So we subdivide all of this, but really highlighting all of the unique opportunities that go beyond just the, esports player or the, pro player. Because we know also that not everyone is going to be the pro player, just like not everyone's Tom Brady, but there are also a lot of different opportunities that many of these students and young people can really engage in. And the one thing I'll share is that another gentleman in the community has developed what we call the Candy Crush slide. This really showcases all of the unique expanded opportunities within the esports industry. And if you look, I know it's really tiny text, but many of these roles are actually cross-sector and cross-industry. There's a lot of transferable skills. And then the other thing I'll also point out, because many of you are CTE, is that many of these jobs that are in the ecosystem, and this was very intentional, are actually aligned to the CTE pathways. And we'll get more into that in a little bit here. So a lot of really cool opportunities, and we provide a lot of different resources on our website to be able to showcase all of these unique career pathways and ways that young people can get involved. And so I'll be dropping links throughout the presentation, so feel free to click it and expand. So you can see here, this is a really nice infographic for content creation specifically. And what we've done, and this is California specific, is look at some of the core classes that you need to take in high school, some potential certifications that you can gain in CTE, and then again, the potential careers within the esports ecosystem that they can, obviously pursue with those skills and with those courses and certs. All right, so everything that we've ever done has always been research driven. We actually, in the beginning, when we started NASEF, we partnered with UCI's Connected Learning Lab, Dr. Constance Steinkühler, who I am such a fanboy of. She is incredible. She does some amazing work. Also an esports enthusiast. I think her game is Overwatch. What she did is conduct a 4-year IRB-approved study looking at the intersection of gaming, esports, and education. When she first started the research, it was really more of a meta-analysis of all of the research out there around games and learning. And so you can see these are just some high-level sort of points that she was able to pull in that analysis. Things like, gaming can help improve visual acuity and attention. A great example of this is, I think there were some articles or research around how young toddlers, maybe a little bit older, are playing Minecraft and developing their 3D spatial awareness through Minecraft. Obviously, a lot of these games have a lot of different challenges, so problem solving, aka scientific reasoning, is definitely a huge part of it. And then really there's the literacy and digital literacy component that's present when you're utilizing video games within this space. Since we're also talking about esports, Constance also spent a lot of time digging into the 50, 60 plus years of sports research, because esports is just the same. There's teams, there's competition, there's a sense of connection with your team. So you can see with sports, right? Higher GPA, degree completion, satisfaction with school, and ultimately cultivating that resilience and persistence. Now, as we went forward, we started to really dig into what we call our club framework in all of our curriculum that was rolled out to all the different clubs. And at the time it was national. So there were, I think, about 3,000 different clubs and schools that were part of this study. And you can see on the screen, again, small text, I apologize, but blue means science, green means math, yellow means ELA, that kind of peachy color means social emotional learning, and then that pink means relationships. And you can see in the study across all of the different clubs, students were obviously reporting learning outcomes and indicators around STEM learning, but what surprised us was really all of the social emotional learning opportunities that were present. Many of the kids were talking about how, I found my people, I have a connection with my community, we play games together, and now we hang out. But ultimately, also the relationships with the general managers or the adult facilitators within the space, because they found something that they like, and they have that connection with the adult in the room to be able to explore those interests and potential career pathways. And again, this was a 4-year research study, so we continued this research into year 2. You can see that same variable across STEM learning in particular and their school affiliation. And then what might stick out to you is this little dip right here around emotional regulation. And you may think, oh, maybe there's negative emotions that are happening when you include clubs in education or in these educational spaces. But as the researchers dug into the data, what they found is that many of the students were actually more aware and reporting some of the negative emotions that they were experiencing while playing the game. So this really opened up a lot of research and conversation around tilt or toxicity. Tilting is defined as kind of getting angry when you're playing a game. It's kind of like when you play pinball and you kind of shake the machine. That's where the term comes from. And the idea was that these safe spaces that we were creating in these club environments were allowing young people to explore those negative emotions and also find the opportunities, strategies, and tools to try to resolve some of the negative emotions. So this really helped inform our work with developing our health and wellness toolkits, and many of the clubs began to implement mindfulness routines within their practices as well to help support some of this. And all of this research, you can check it out on the UCI website, on the Connected Learning Lab website. You can go deeper into the data if you're interested. I'm just presenting kind of the high level opportunities that were available here. So again, ultimately when we're defining scholastic esports, it's really about bringing together that experiential learning and intentional play. And that's how we really look at scholastic esports. Now, when you're thinking about this, some of you are like, well, I don't know how to get started. I think ultimately what we start with is really you're not building a program. Gaming and esports is a culture and a community. So when we talk about building these types of programs, it's not just, oh, I'm going to create a program and framework. It's I am creating an entire community of stakeholders to help support the growth of esports and gaming. And this includes yourselves, the students, obviously, the young people, but also the families and administrators, because there are obviously some hurdles to encounter and also some negative perceptions and stigmas that still exist. So it's important to involve all of the community as you're building this type of club or curricular pathway. And so you'll see in the bottom too, these are the two ways that we support as NASEF all of the different educational programs. It's either through curricular pathways or developing a club. And clubs are honestly the easiest lift, the lowest hanging fruit, as I like to say, when it comes to starting these types of programs. Curricular pathways are also really exciting, but we know that that takes time in order to get the proper approvals to move that forward. But I will share a couple strategies to maybe accelerate some of those opportunities. All right, so I'll dive into both of these. Again, I know some folks are putting some stuff in the chat. As I'm sharing a lot of this information, feel free to dump some questions in the chat and I'll make sure to get to them a little bit later as well. So on the curricular side, this is honestly what I call, the bread and butter of NASEF, because we really spent a lot of time being intentional about all of the educational outcomes and opportunities that exist. And how can we take all of the standards like Common Core, like CTE, like NGSS, ISTE, and SEL? How can we create a framework around gaming and esports? And my colleagues at the Orange County Department of Ed were really helpful in this, as well as UCI. And again, it's that esports ecosystem. There's so many opportunities, again, beyond the players in the games, for young people to pursue these unique career pathways that exist within the esports industry. And the industry is growing day by day. It's constantly expanding. It's still in its infancy. But I will say that there's a lot of growing opportunities for sure. On the curricular side, and I forgot to mention that all of these resources are free on our website because we were philanthropically funded. And we believe that education is a fundamental right. So a lot of our work is really based on equity and access. So all of this is available once you sign up, and I'll, again, talk more about that in a little bit. So all of the curriculum that we developed was designed by educators. We have a 4-year English language arts curriculum that actually blends a little bit of ELA, CTE, gaming, and esports. And this has actually been UC A through G approved in the state of California. So any school that's interested in adopting this curriculum can actually utilize it for graduating credit for students, which is really exciting. We also have what we call our CTE grids, or Career Technical Education grids. And these are basically samples of articulated pathways of how you can begin to look at intersecting esports into your CTE pathways. I don't want you to get too caught up on that, because it's not necessarily creating a brand new elective or pathway. In many cases, what we've seen is really just taking pre-existing CTE pathways and modifying them to fit within the context of esports and gaming. And I'll talk more about that. Middle school and community-based organization curriculum, tons and tons of interest around that. And that's really a great way to explore and engage middle schoolers, particularly around the ecosystem. We also have a summer curriculum, and then we have an entire community library, which I'll share more info in a second, that was designed by our NASEF Scholastic Fellows. And that is I like to call it a hidden gem, and it's treasure and gold. There's tons and tons of curriculum that you can take, remix, and modify to fit for your purpose and context. There's all Creative Commons, so feel free to dive into that. And then we also have our health and wellness toolkits and resources. Again, this is a big sort of opportunity to teach young people about things like nutrition, things like physical activity, as well as overall kind of wellness. And so we have a lot of frameworks, toolkits, as well as curriculum to help support this. And you'll see on the right side, this was actually a really clever acronym that one of our creators put together around gamers. And so you can see it's G for growth, A for activity, M for mind, E for environment, R for relationships, and S for sustenance. Link said page not found or moved. Okay, I'll make sure to address that in a second here. And then, like I said, we have our community library, which is really exciting. This was done by educators around the world, and they have created some really unique intersections of how they've introduced esports and gaming into their programs and community. Some are things like ELA, CTE, but some have even looked at history and social science, or even looking at how physical ed could be part of this as well. So a lot of really unique intersections. I definitely recommend that you dive in there because you can see a video from the fellow kind of talking about their program, how they brought it in, as well as getting access to the curriculum module that they put together. And I will have all of these slides available with a bit.ly link at the end. And then hopefully AME will provide the recording as well, but I will give you that link shortly. So again, the same thing, right? It's really about Scholastic Esports. Now on the club side, you know, this is again the lowest hanging fruit. So as you're thinking about the opportunities here and maybe interest around how you could bring this to your particular educational community, I do recommend starting with a club. Now with clubs, you know, we don't dictate how you start the club. We know that every club is different, every community is different. And so ultimately, every club kind of starts at their own pace. And then NASEF is really just here to provide all the resources and tools to help support the development of your community. And really, it's all about empowering students because we know that young people are passionate about these opportunities. So finding ways to give them those leadership spaces to grow, you know, the club and community. And again, we provide multiple toolkits. I'll point out a few. We have our 8 Steps to Success document, which really talks about the 8 steps to starting a club. And we've utilized this same framework all around the world. We also have things like an esports club charter, which is really a living document that you can utilize with your students to really create the goals and objectives, the roles and responsibilities, right, and expectations of each other. And really, again, empowering young people to be the leaders within their community. So they set the expectations for each other and they hold each other accountable through the club charter. We also have a code of conduct template as well as other club toolkits to help support all of this. And again, all of this is free on our website. Now, this is a really great graphic because it really embodies that esports ecosystem that we showed earlier. You know, if you think about esports and gaming, you might think, oh, if I go to an esports club, there's just a team competing. Yes, in some cases there are, but with NASEF clubs, we really encourage embodying that ecosystem through the formation of various committees within the club. And so you'll have the traditional leadership committee like the president, vice president, and treasurer, but you'll also have things like, you know, a marketing committee or a events committee or, you know, a business development committee that's fundraising for the club. And this is, again, another opportunity to create those career pathways, but obviously in a more informal environment. And like I said earlier around the CTE piece, what I've seen really successful across a lot of different schools is what they'll do is they'll take their CTE programs, right? Let's just use, you know, Adobe certification, video production as an example. What the CTE pathway will include is instead of just creating one-off assets, they'll actually create the hype video for their esports club and team, or maybe they're creating the logos or the website for the team. And then ultimately, it's within the club space where they get to explore and kind of play as well. So again, just a sample structure. Every club is different, but what the club really is a safe space to allow young people to feel connected again to their community. And a lot of the clubs that we've seen are so beautiful to see, the rainbow of colors and different shapes and sizes, and really all walks of life. I mean, you know, you can think of the traditional maybe sports player playing some games with the traditional quote unquote nerd or geek. I mean, this is really a great place to create diverse and inclusive communities. We've even seen a lot of programs that are also utilizing this as a strategy for their SPED students, thinking about opportunities to create kind of unified models where they have SPED and Gen Ed students in the same space playing together. So again, a lot of opportunities that go well beyond just playing games. And then lastly, you know, we talked about curriculum, we talked about clubs, but really what's that sweet spot? And it's really kind of in between both of those things. And in order, obviously we know that the play part, the exciting part for the young people is important. So we also offer multiple competitive opportunities throughout the year. We're actually, for those of you that are in California, we are the official esports provider for the CIF Esports Initiative, CIF being the California Interscholastic Federation, which is pretty mind-blowing just to think about. They've been supporting esports for quite some time, but we recently stepped in with them to help support how we can create more of a scholastic esports opportunity. So with CIF, we actually have the season kicked off now, and they're playing across 3 different titles: Rocket League, League of Legends, and Super Smash. And then hopefully by the end of the academic year, we'll be able to name some state champions, some California state champions in each of these titles, which is really exciting. And from what I heard, CIF has also made some pretty cool trophies as well. On top of that, we also have our own competitive opportunity that we call the NASA Finals. And these are national tournaments. We have various folks from all around the US and now increasingly internationally that play in our NASA Finals. And this season, we're offering Rocket League, Valorant, and then Knockout City as well as an extra title. And again, you know, these are all free, but at the same time, many of the clubs actually don't compete. So don't feel like you have to start an esports club and then all of a sudden have a winning team. Many of the clubs that we work with are really hyper-focused on, again, those career pathway opportunities, where they're really focusing on, you know, design, entrepreneurship, innovation, etc. And it's really up to you to decide, as well as with your students and young people, if competing is your thing. And then we also know that maybe not everyone's into the traditional competitive titles, so we also offer multiple Minecraft events. And I'll just quickly go through a lot of these. Farmcraft is one of our biggest ones. We just launched this. This is in partnership with the US Department of State. And it looks like Claire just joined in time, so I'm gonna have Claire maybe jump in and give me a break and a breather to share about our Minecraft events.
Sure. Thank you, Jarrell. Hi, everyone. My name's Claire LeBeau. I'm the Chief Marketing Officer for NASF, and the Minecraft events are definitely one of my passions. Love to see how students get creative and build and then also interact in the worlds that we create. Farmcraft is designed as a place for them to learn about agriculture, climate science, and this year we're adding in also how do you get something to market. So we're adding in aspects of trade and transportation and supply chain, which, as we all know, has been a hot button the last year or so. So they get to play in a custom Minecraft world that we have developed, and all of these lessons are built in. As with all of the NASF competitions, these are all free to enter, and I want to make sure that we keep underscoring the price tag, which is 0. The next one is Rube Goldberg. If any of you have ever done a Rube Goldberg challenge in the physical world, it's creating a crazy contraption chain reaction machine. And as students are doing that, they're learning all about physics and engineering. And we've taken that same challenge idea and brought it into Minecraft. Where they don't just get to, you know, take a cart and run it around the world. They have to have transfers of energy and storyline and all of the things that make a great Rube Goldberg machine. And they build those in Minecraft. Minacraft is, we work in conjunction with the US Department of State and the Aspen Institute, and it's a virtual exchange program. MENA standing for Middle East, North Africa. We have students in the United States and students in several countries in the MENA region who participate, and they build out replicas of flags or monuments in their area in Minecraft, and then they submit Flipgrid videos where they talk about those. And then we also do Zoom calls where they get together and share, just kind of life. What is life like if you live in Kuwait? What is life like if you live in, Florida or Ohio? And it's just a great place for them all to figure out we're different, but we're the same. And this is something that the State Department really sees the power of virtual exchange for diplomacy and helping start young with kids understanding we're all similar. And then the last one here is Junior Solar Sprint. We work with the Army Educational Outreach Program on that. And that's a program designed to help students learn both about solar power and vehicle design. And it's all blended together. They do different workshops in Minecraft, and then at the end, create a vehicle that races on the track, and they get to see how much they learned about the power and the vehicle design and whether they win that final race. So those are the Minecraft events. They're open. We have several different age brackets, and also for a lot of those, we have a prize available, Amazon gift cards to the winning teams. So there's never any harm in having that little carrot out there for students, and so we offer that for several of those events as well.
And I'm not sure if you mentioned, Claire, but if you don't have access to Minecraft Education Edition, we can also provide those licenses for free because, again, we're really trying to emphasize equity and access in all of these opportunities. So as you're signing up for any of these, you can also submit if you need some Minecraft licenses as well. And then, Claire, do you want to talk a little bit about why we play? We did share this in the last CAMEO event, but we'll also dive deeper and then maybe play the video since we have a little bit of time. I've been talking pretty quick.
My goodness, I absolutely would love to talk about why we play. Not just the competition that we held, but the idea behind it. Why do we play esports? I think a lot of times people who don't understand esports, there's maybe a little bit of judgment, right, about kids who game and that kind of thing. But they actually have really passionate stories to share about their experience in esports. And so why we play is one of our Beyond the Game challenges, gives the students an opportunity to produce a video describing why esports is important to them. And you can see in this graphic, the deadline was November 2022. We're just about to roll out the same competition again in the spring. And we're looking for students to highlight the reasons that they're gaming. And I'll tell you, it's a lot deeper than people often think it might be.
We'll take a break from talking for a second. We'll just play that video. That way you can see why we play is all about.
I play esports with Medtech because it helps me create a bond with my teammates and just helps me engage in a competitive field with them.
Because it gives me an opportunity to play for the school competitively and give me a chance to represent the school across the country.
I love the competition. I love playing against other people. I love beating other people. I love outmatching other people. I also love building teamwork and all those fundamentals for just life skills, really.
I also love video games, so it gives me the time to play them, and I just want to compete because it would be cool to compete.
I get to know a lot of cool people. They're real nice, they're real good at the game, and I just get to have a good time competing.
Esports is so important to me because you can hang out with your friends, you get to enjoy competition, you get to just be with people like you.
And going forward with the information I learned, like I get to help at running the plays, assemblies and stuff, which is going to be really cool to do. And then learning like all the ins and outs of like stagecraft and running, like production is going to be really fun going forward.
Because it lets me turn my hobby into something real. I can turn it into an extracurricular activity that I can actually put on my college applications.
I think a lot of the players have opportunity to go to college for it, and this will only help them get there.
Get a scholarship and be like Dr. Harvey.
It was so crazy when we actually got that win, and I could actually use that money towards a scholarship. I would never expect to actually be able to win $3,000 for playing Smash Bros.
Básicamente es un lugar donde puedes jugar una variedad de videojuegos con otras personas, y porque me uní al club de videojuegos fue para jugar con otras personas y convivir y socializar.
I play because I'm a T4 paraplegic, and for me, I use gaming as a social outlet.
Well, in school, I have places that I could actually go now instead of just like moving around mainly. And outside of school, it's something I could look forward to for coming to the school.
My team is basically like a family. It's like you just compete, you can make new friends and work on your participation skills and like talking to other people.
The reason I play video games is a bit of a story. In June of 2022, I was diagnosed with having autism. My whole life I had a hard time socially, and being able to make friends was difficult for me. Back in 2017, I got my first Xbox. It was an Xbox Series 1S. I started playing Fortnite when it first came out, and I finally felt like I could start making friends online and everything. I still had a hard time at school talking to people and everything, but after a while I figured out how to approach people and become friends with them, and I found people that liked the same things that I did. Even though I didn't have a reason for those years until now as to why it was hard for me, video games helped me get through it and be able to make friends, so then when I did find out, I wasn't just not able to do anything anymore. So that's why I play video games.
I hope you brought your tissues. A little bit of tears there. Always so great to watch that. Claire and I have watched that a million times, and we're always like, oh my gosh, always pulls on the heartstrings. I'll add one more to kind of add to just the impact that was really present within that video. The last student that spoke, the facilitator or general manager of that program, actually had no clue on his diagnosis and didn't learn that until he had created that video, which was really a great opportunity, and he really started to connect with him at a deeper level after that. So again, this goes way beyond just playing games, and that's why we call these Beyond the Game challenges. And so definitely encourage you. We'll be launching this one pretty soon, probably in the next week or so. So make sure you sign up to our newsletter, and you'll be able to get that information right away. Claire, do you want to talk about the other one that we're also featuring for Beyond the Game this season?
Sure. I'm sure Jarrell has covered all the career pathways that we're trying to give kids a way to do hands-on exploration of different career opportunities. And another one, in addition to the video production, is streaming and shoutcasting, which I think most kids in esports want to be a streamer of some sort. And so we want to equip them and help them learn the skills. So we've put together a free course in the NASEF Skillshot Academy. They'll be able to learn things like the basics of using OBS, learning how to research and prepare and plan for a stream, because a successful stream does not just happen when you hop on camera. There's work involved. So helping them to learn all of these important lessons to be in the world of shoutcasting. And then, as with the Why We Play competition, when students create and submit their videos, then we will feature them on our social media. They get debuted at our Global Esports Summit. So there are a lot of opportunities for these students also to get exposure if they're looking for college applications or job applications, to get some recognition for those as well.
So again, stay tuned. Either sign up for our website, newsletter, or just stay tuned on our website. We'll have those featured pretty soon here. Again, great opportunities, free again, no cost. So I definitely encourage you to look into it for your students and young people. So the next slide I'm really passionate about. This is really, for those educators that are interested in deepening their leadership within the Scholastic esports space. I speak so heavily and passionate about this because this has been my bread and butter for NASEF for quite some time. We started the NASEF Scholastic Fellow Program as a way to explore how educators were really utilizing the intersection of esports into education. So as a fellow, you can join the program. It's about a 9-month program throughout the year, and it's like traditional fellowship programs. You spend with a global community really looking at things like how to create a curriculum module, how to create an action plan to make that idea come to life, and then obviously have the support of the entire global community to really cultivate those ideas. As a fellow, you focus primarily on implementation, but you can move into the second year as a Scholastic mentor to really, again, build your leadership and coaching within the space. So you typically help coach other fellows as well as other educators within your local region and community. And then ultimately what we're trying to do is create this unique PD pathway so that you can essentially, if you'd like to, become a NASEF community leader, which are our official trainer of trainers. And we've really grown this community over the last 3 years. We started with a national cohort in 2019 and then expanded internationally in 2020. And in the last 4 years, we've had, again, so many diverse and amazing, incredible human beings all around the world that are looking at those unique intersections. And like I referenced the community library earlier, a lot of the work that they've done is also visible there. So you can see all of this incredible work. And this was just a geo-distribution of all of our fellows, including this year's cohort. And you can see we're continuing to grow and expand all around the globe. And again, I'll pull back to this slide because I want you to all remember, a lot of this is overwhelming. There's a lot of, information that we're throwing at you, but really it's all about building this culture. And it doesn't take much. It takes, one passionate educator like yourselves, maybe a handful of students that are really interested in growing this, and then just start from there. Because ultimately that community that you want to create, it takes time. So we know that, and we're obviously here to support you through that journey. And the way that we like to say, because we get a lot of questions, how do I get started? It's really about going to our website and clicking that big orange button on the top right that says Join NASEF, fill out some basic information, and then you'll get access to really an entire buffet of curricula, club toolkits, and resources to help support the implementation of Scholastic esports in your programs. And if that's not enough, and there's more, that ShamWow saying, we also have a lot of fee-for-service opportunities to help support your growth. So recently we've expanded. We're going to be launching what we call the General Manager Certification. This is the 8 steps in a self-paced learning course. And this is, again, how to start a club, really leaning into all of the best practices that we've utilized throughout the globe. And then we also, if you're maybe more interested in the competitive side, we've also launched, and this is available now, the NASEF X Skillshot Coaching Certification course, which is really all about the fundamentals on, how to get started with a team, what does it mean, what's the roles and responsibilities of a coach, and then ultimately, not necessarily how to coach the game, but how to create a team and culture of good sportsmanship, as well as really just building out the overall Scholastic program. So this has actually been launched with our partners at IESF, and it is recognized by IESF as a certification. So it's a globally recognized certification. And we launched this across all of the member countries as well. So many of them are now looking at this. So very much tested and true and tried and true. So I definitely encourage you to check that out. Again, these are fee for service. We're, if you're interested in any of these, I'm happy to have a deeper conversation because we can also offer some discounts around some of these things. And then if you want to dive even deeper, we can also do some custom PD with you all with your communities. And again, this is the way that we continue as a nonprofit. And we can design these based on your goals and objectives. We can also pull in some of our community leaders that are experts in specific focus areas to help support the development of that workshop as well. So a lot of different opportunities, everything from free to fee. But again, we're really just here to support your growth as well as the students and young people's growth in all of these incredible opportunities in Scholastic Esports. So that was a lot, and I know we got probably about 10 minutes left before y'all jump into your communities of practice. So I wanted to take a pause and just see if there were any questions that you have for me or the lovely Chief Marketing Officer, Claire, as well.
Jarrell and Claire, I just want to say thank you so much. I appreciate your passion that you bring to this conversation and the incredible resources that you guys have developed. It's just exciting to see all the different ways teachers can plug in. And I know particularly for our CTE and AME teachers, we're really trying to think about the intersectionalities of our departments. So that Candy Crush slide was incredible, so exciting. There's so many ways different programs can collaborate and work together, build great work-based learning opportunities for students. So this was a fantastic presentation. Thank you so much. And are there any questions that folks have? Do you want to pop them in the chat? Lots of praise and gratitude.
We appreciate the CIF comment. That's very helpful. James Wood is incredible. That's all I can say. He's pretty much all of CIF. Bitly, yes. Okay, let me go ahead and switch over here. Bitly link is right there with the slides, and then let me just put this here as well. You can go to our website and join for free, and then I've also dropped in our emails in case you have any questions. So we definitely encourage you to reach out. Again, it starts with that big orange button, but you can always just email us and we're happy to answer any of your questions.